Fanzone, united by the game, powered by Moore's World of Sport.
Welcome along to Fanzone, where we talk all things Zimbabwean sport, and today we're talking mostly the Warriors. It's a big in-depth review as we're out at the group stage for our 6th time at the Africa Cup of Nations. Did we do badly? Why are fans so disappointed? We're going to take a look at that, and also what should be the way ahead for the Warriors in the coming year or two. So much to get into. Welcome back to the show to David Sengu, former Young Warriors captain and Caps United captain. Hi, David.
Hi, Steve. How are you?
Good. How are you? How are you feeling?
Yeah, I think I'm much better now. From last night, it wasn't easy to stomach, Steve, because as Zimbabweans, we always want to, play well. At least this time around, I thought maybe we might be going, into the knockout stage, but it wasn't to be. We had our chances, to top the group, to be honest. Even if we had to beat Angola, we have to. Then South Africa, it was on a team that was on taking. For me, the chances that we got second half could have, easily beaten South Africa.
Yeah, I thought the boys really did fight so hard and did us proud. Simba Chiminya, Star FM sportscaster, with us again. Hi, Simba.
Hi, thanks, Steve. Nice to be back on the show, but disappointed, like what David said, because I thought this was a chance for us. I think the best chance for us in all these other editions that we've been in the Africa Cup of Nations to progress to the knockout stages.
Yep, certainly they put up such a great fight. Also, we're talking athletics. Munya Gwanzura is here. He's an all-round sports analyst and an athletics coach as well. Hi, Munya.
Hi, Steve. How are you? I'm very happy to be on the show.
Yeah, well, great. So you run the Mwana wa Chipo Club in Harare. You've got sort of a all-round approach because you're a coach, administrative background, media background as well, and marketing too. Yeah.
Yes, definitely. I just see sport from a holistic point of view. To be honest, I love sport. I love my country, and my vision is to make the world a better place through sport. And for me, the world starts here in Zimbabwe, and then we go outside.
So we'll bring all that into our chat about the Warriors and look ahead to the African Senior Athletics Championships, which is a big highlight on the athletics calendar in 2026. So, Munya, just speaking as a Warriors fan, how are you feeling about our exit, especially that fighting 3-2 loss to South Africa?
It's quite disappointing, to be honest. Sport is from an administration point of view as well as from a technical point of view. So for me, the loss yesterday was just but a symptom of a problem that is in the background, right? So we are 6 weeks away from AFCON, and then we get a coach who is clueless about our system and everything. So we try sort of to put a permanent solution to an interim situation, which to me was a blunder from the get-go. Because the guy literally had 2 games, he didn't know the players, and then he calls in 51 players for trials. And so it was just a whole lot going on. And then from the technical side, as a fan, we watch football all the time, and sometimes as football is one of those lovely sports that's very predictable. So when Knowledge Msona does well and he gives us a goal, and then the next minute he's out, when Bourne spends 80 minutes on the field and does nothing significant, and then you see him coming on in a game in a deciding match like South Africa. Again, from a fan, you're wondering what's in the mind of the coach. Yes, he argued that he's using science, he's using data, but for me, as a fan, you see, I read also. So Maswani says he's the top goal scorer in Scotland. So that's the only data that we need. He's the guy who's going to get us the goals. So for us to see him out of the Angola game completely, again, that's concerning. So our exit to me is really but a symptom to a bigger problem.
Okay, lots lies behind our exit. Fans, we know, are disappointed. Fans are angry. You can post your comments, your thoughts in the comments section as well. Well, Larry Mangenje has been in Morocco for Fanzone, getting exclusives for us. Lots of posts, pictures, videos on the Fanzone Facebook page. And he spoke to Warriors captain Marvelous Nakamba after Monday night's defeat to South Africa, where Marvi gave this apology to the nation.
It was okay. I just want to sorry. I just have to man up and accept the mistake that I did. And I'm sorry to the country, to my teammates, to everyone in Zimbabwe. We lose as a team. Hopefully we'll soldier on and learn from the mistakes. It's life, it's part of life.
What can you say about the future of the Warriors?
Yeah, I think the future is bright. The guys showed like we can do something. Like I think if you check the youngsters, they were on it, they give everything, and unfortunately, with the mistake that we did today, but it's part of life, and I stand up for my mistake and say I'm sorry.
Okay, so much more on the Fanzone Facebook page. But David, did Marvellous need to apologise? Wasn't that just one of those things in football, a moment of madness?
Yeah, I don't think he was supposed to do that. Why? Because if you look at it, Mr. V, every player would end up apologising whenever they make mistakes.
Which is every other game.
Exactly, yeah. So for him to come out and say, I'm sorry for what I did and, everything, I think it's something Chekuti, he really didn't want a backlash, from the fans and say, okay, let's forgive him, he's our son because he's apologized, for his mistake. But football, it's all about mistakes. You don't know when is the mistake going to happen. So at the end of the day, you have to be marvelous, right? And come out and say, okay, fine, we are sorry, we exited in the group stages, we wanted to go to the knockout stages, which didn't happen. I think that way it would be much better than coming out and apologize for your own mistake, which is, okay, fine. Munashe Gananga was going to come out and say, I'm very sorry about that. I didn't go and cover teenager debate the same. Strikers, exactly. Strikers who come out and say, oh, I'm sorry because I missed that chance. I could have buried it. So, to me, it doesn't make sense.
Helpful, Simba, to apologise?
No, not at all. You give in to a lot of criticism because I think the only apology that he could have made was a collective apology as the team captain,
exactly,
apologizing to the nation, saying we have bowed out from this tournament in the group stages when the expectations were that we're going to go all the way into the knockout stages. But for that, mistakes are part of the game. You're born to make mistakes, and there was no need for him to apologize on that singular mistake that he made. He could only just apologize for the collective as a whole, for the team, and as the captain. And I think also, as the captain, you need the heart. You need that character, strong character, that you don't bow to criticism a lot, because I think he was reading a lot, even before that game, the criticism that was on him starting all these games. And he thought maybe after this mistake, people were going to, fall on me like a ton of bricks, and the criticism would be too much. But I don't think that, when you make a single mistake in a game, you have to apologize for every mistake that you make.
Yeah, sure. It's the AFCON. It's huge. The expectations were massive, and it was great for us to be there. To me, I thought we did pretty well, really, because there were so many issues happening on the lead up to the AFCON, and we're coming out of the FIFA suspension. We're still recovering as a nation. Mozambique got their first win. 17 AFCON games it took them to get their first win. Benin, it took them 15 games. They got their first AFCON win at the weekend. Our Warriors, David, 3 wins at 6 AFCONs. We scored in every game this time around. Am I seeing that correctly? Are the positives there, or we just say the Warriors have failed?
For me, Mr. V, I'm disappointed. We have failed. Remember, all these other AFCONs, we could win our last game, maybe finish on 3 points. Remember, we could lose first and second game, then the last game would be a dead rubber, then we go on to win, that game. But still, for this tournament, to be honest, Mr. V, I thought because we were playing our neighbors, which is Angola and South Africa, there was a chance for us to do better. So, drawing against Angola, I think there was now too much pressure going into the South Africa game for the boys because of the previous encounter in the World Cup qualifier when we drew 0-0. And it was something that even South Africans themselves, they were saying Zimbabweans are going to be party spoilers. Yeah. And for sure, we were going to be party spoilers. Remember, I used to play in those games, from under 17, under 20, to the senior team. And those are the games that you would want to win as a player. Those are the games that you would want to win as the captain of the team. So that when you go out, something will come out. And look, the whole nation was looking forward to the South Africa game, Zimbabwe was going to play better than the 0-0 draw. And a lot of people predicted a high-scoring game between Zimbabwe and South Africa because it was an open game from the first minute. You could see South Africa's intention, our intention as well, when going forward. But defensively, we were so poor.
Yeah, but nonetheless, the bookmakers' odds were Zimbabwe $6. That gave us a less than 20% chance.
Exactly.
South Africa, about 55% chance
because
of
they're
winning. So we punched above our weight. We ran them close.
Yeah, they're looking at South Africa, Steve, and say, okay, the previous tournament, South Africa were semi-finalists. And Zimbabwe has always been bowing out in group stages. So their chances of winning against South Africa were slim. And if you look at the margins, every mistake that we made, it led to a goal. And all the 3 goals, we gave them on a silver platter. Those were the goals that were avoidable. And for me, I also blame the coaches for the composition of the team. If you look at the team that played against South Africa compared to the team that played against Angola and the team that played against Egypt, there's so much difference in terms of quality of each and every match that we played. Yeah.
Okay, Tawanda Maswanise, outstanding against South Africa. Larry spoke to coach Mario Marinica there in Marrakesh about why Maswanise had not played and not started in the previous 2 games, not featured at all in the previous one.
Well, that's a combination of everything you said in a way. On the other hand, I said, we are looking on data, we look statistically, we'll also look, opponent, who is best for whatever, opponent we have. And on the other hand, we also look, to have something to surprise the team, what actually we can do, for each of them. And Tawanda, from game to game, actually not playing, but from time to time, from one game to another, he started becoming a bit more responsible and he started, putting his heart in. And in a way, probably wants to say, prove me something. But that's one player is to have a reaction when they come on the pitch. And he did today fantastically well. And I expect, to do because he's a good player. We had a chat, we discussed even before the match and whatever. So they done fantastic well with that kind of response, from players.
So that's the Warriors coach Mario Marinica. You can watch that again on the Fanzone Facebook page. We said it, Simba. He should have been the first name on the team sheet, playing so well for Motherwell in Scotland. As much as I think the coach gave us entertaining football, but why he was not number 1 on the team sheet, I just don't get it. It was obvious to me, Simba.
For me, he was my poster boy going into the tournament, even before the start of the games. I thought that he was the first name on the team sheet, judging by the way that he was playing. He was the most informed player from Zimbabwe. And the coach tried to explain about, science and data.
Yes.
But again, when you put him into that game against South Africa, he just changed everything. And you just begin to question, what is the science, what is the data that he's talking about when a player can come in and take South Africa head on almost single-handedly? Because the first goal, it was him, the second goal again, and then there was an effort that hit the upright.
Yep.
And, had it not been for those errors, the mistakes at the back, probably we could have been talking about a different, outcome of that game. So for the coach, for me, I don't really get what he's trying to say. Yes, there are some aspects that he has, shown that I really liked about, the way that the players have been playing, the character. But when he tried to explain his relationships with the players, the way that he handles the, relations with the players, I don't really get, satisfaction answer from him to say, you've got your best player, and you're saying science and data is showing you that he is not fit to start when we have Makuli Bond starting, and you also have
playing in the
Washington
7th, 8th
Avaya
tier
starting. Yes. And then you also look at even the first game. Our best player in that game going forward was Daniel Msendami. And then the second game, you don't find him.
Yeah.
So for me, the coach, I think in terms of relationship, how he handles situations, I've not been really convinced.
Yeah, like you say, Munya, some of those stats were just obvious, yeah.
Yeah, so so the issue comes back to what David was saying about changing the team, I was actually looking at South Africa. So from the first game to the second game, I think they made 2 changes. And then from the second game to ours, I think they made 1 change. So there's some sort of level of consistency in terms of their play, right? So now to have Zimbabwe, you'd almost pray or you'd almost even bet on the lineup itself before we get into the actual game. I think for sports performance to happen, there has to be some sort of level of consistency and team chemistry. But you don't achieve team chemistry by rotating in every game. So I've always said on different platforms that we need a first 11, a Zimbabwe first 11 that we know, that is predictable, to say we know that Maswanise is going to be in the game. What he's going to do is then the job of the coach. But let's put our best foot forward from the get-go. Because again, like what Simba is saying, it doesn't make sense how, you see, Knowledge Musona, of course he had some issues with the set pieces, but he got us the goal when it mattered the most. And then we get into the second half, before you know it, he's out. And you're like, what's going on? And you could see, particularly for Knowledge Musona, in terms of team cohesion, there's a time where there was an injury. You could see him getting the boys together, talking to them, and putting that sort of extra leadership that is needed in the team. Because yes, youngsters will give us the fire, but you also need that stability from senior guys. And so for the coach to then keep doing these rotations and odd substitutions, like with Bon, I think there's no data that can justify the inclusion of a player that is playing in a 7th tier in England. Is he communicating that a 7th or 8th tier team or league in England, which even has semi-professional teams, is way better than our local league? That to me also is a bit...
Sure. And South Africa, in contrast, David, pretty much very, very similar team to the last AFCON that they were using here.
Yeah, true. And I think it's more to do now with Orlando Pirates coming into the picture, because there was almost like 5-6 players from Orlando Pirates. Then Mamelodi Sundowns chipping with 4-5 as well, and one foreign best in their team. So in terms of cohesion, like what Munya just said, I think they've got everything. That this is South Africa. They know their first 11. They can make 1 or 2 changes. But as for us Zimbabweans, there's positional changes, there's player personnel changes, a whole lot of things. We had teenager Debe playing as a left back. We all know he's a centre back. Yesterday there was Munashe Garananga. He was playing as a right back. He was exposed. All these guys were exposed. Central midfield, we only had marvelous Nakamba playing 90 minutes, Jonah Fabish as well playing almost 90 minutes in all 3 games. And imagine you substitute him in the 88th minute for someone because you just want to try new things, because you have already given up on the game. But look, for South Africa, I think they deserve to go through because of the consistency, because of something. They are looking forward to getting into the final. If they don't get to the final, for them it's a failure.
Yeah, I mean, to me, South Africa are just years ahead of us, so hopefully we will get there. Behind the scenes, of course, Mario Marinica didn't go to AFCON. He has even said that he is now fit and that he could have been featuring in those games. So what about the issue of players who are based in England? Are they the way forward for the Warriors? Here's Coach Mario Marinica again, speaking to Larry, who's there for us in Marrakesh, and talking about the spirit, the attitude that he wants with our players going forward.
To be honest, that's a very, very tricky question, because basically I don't want players to be lured. Okay, I want players to come with their heart. I want players to feel from their parents, from their ancestors, to come to play for the country, because they have to come with their heart. Because let's put this way, you see, coming to play in Africa is not a cozy road. Sometimes you have to go 24 hours. Myself to get, it took me 28 hours to come from Romania. So I know it's extremely difficult, and you're gonna find, that extremely, extremely difficult conditions. You're gonna have to go and also to mingle with the locals to understand what they go through, to understand their heart, their hardship. So basically, they have to come with their heart, not actually just to come, just to play for the national team because someone lured them on something to say, okay, you're gonna get this such money, you're gonna get this such flights, you're gonna get such this, you're gonna get all sorts of benefits. No, their benefit has to be their heart, and if they will come with their heart, anyone is welcome, wherever or they are in the world, whatever leagues they play. Like for example, we got Boni, and Alik. Fortunately, didn't have a chance to play Alik, but they come with their heart, and they were even prepared, if you remember, to actually come on their own, to take time from their clubs and to come from 1st of December to be able, to join us. So that kind of spirit we want. If they have that, they're most welcome, and I'll try to get them with open heart.
Well, that's a very interesting clip there. That's Mario Marinica speaking to Larry in Marrakesh after Monday night's game against South Africa. So he wants players with the right spirit. He wants them to play with heart if they're in the UK, not to just come here to benefit financially or to benefit in terms of moving their career forward. He says those things will happen anyway, but he wants to have the spirit there first and foremost. And I think going forward, we certainly will be looking more and more at players like Tawanda Chirewa and others that we can get in the UK. Is it all about spirit and heart, Simba?
Yes, I believe so. And just look at the Nigerian players that come and play for Nigeria from, those that were born in England. They come with that spirit, And I agree with the coach on that because you look at some of the players who just come in for the international caps so that they can move to the club that they would want to move. When you're an international player, you carry more weight. And some of these players will know that they won't be able to play for the national team, like, say, England, where they were born. But, look at the players that are there. I think they have been giving something to the national team. You can't really question the way that Tawanda Masoni, Tawanda Chirewa, even Darikwa played, Alec Ndim played. I think the issue is about attitude that maybe want to be addressed. And it really happens, when you get into a team where the culture is different from where you grew up, and there is bound to be some friction here and there. But one other thing that I also liked about Marinica himself, I like the way that he also wants to have players disciplined, giving their all. I think this is the same thing that Norman Mapeza said, but it's only that we don't believe in our own. When Norman Mapeza said it, he drew a lot of criticism from people, but this is something that when you are having a player coming in to play for the national team, that player needs to have the heart, needs to have the spirit. But all in all, what I believe is we should not just be relying on those players alone. What we need to have is a strong, grassroots base to choose from, because once you have got a strong grassroots base to choose from, you'd not be talking about those things because they will
for the national team.
Yeah, for the national team
from grassroots.
Yeah, but it starts from the local league.
Right.
When you've got a strong Dynamo, strong Highlanders, strong Capes United, you are bound to have players having so much competition for the national team, and we wouldn't be having these conversations that we'll be having, like, say, we want to go and take a player that is playing for an 8th tier team, because there will be competition locally. But if you don't have competition locally, we are bound to have the same mistakes that we'll be having.
Okay, so briefly, is Marinica then questioning the attitude, the spirit of Marshall Munetsi and Jordan Zemura, who didn't go to Morocco?
I'm not really sure, even though that behind the scenes we know that things are not really rose because of the things that happened. Because we had Marshall Munetsi speaking on Robert Marawa show in South Africa, saying that he was fit 2 weeks ago and he was ready to play the second and the third group matches. And it seems like communication wasn't really going on between, is it the coach and the player, the association and the player. I think a lot happened behind the scenes and wasn't handled well. And we ended up with this situation because at some point there was a statement from Zifa trying to clarify the situation between them and Marshall Munetsi. But then Marshall Munetsi appears on that show in South Africa and saying that he was fit and he was ready to play.
Okay, what's the way forward for the Warriors then? That is another big question that we're looking at here. Let's hear again from Warriors coach Mario Marinica.
I think in a way, you see, they have to be the backbone of Chan, they have to be backbone of Kosafa, they have to be backbone of probably next AFCONs. So we need to start building from that, because basically if you are to look players like Prosper, like back home is another young gem. I saw it and I liked Hute. Also if you look now, Chakuchichi, he didn't phased out yet. He played only 5 minutes, but he still he was, okay, I think, and had a slight chance, to be there. So, if you're to look, we have Chirewa, we have Masanise, we have so many young players. If you're to look, Mauchi as well. So we have a bunch of young players which actually can build on, having also, some experienced legs around them and some experienced head. We could look to build on something. I think, we are at the moment on up, and I do believe that we have a great future.
Let's talk about the future.
So the Chan could be a way for us to build for the future, says Warriors coach Mario Marinica, suggesting he does indeed want better use of local-based players. So, David, who's in, who's out for you? Knowledge Musona, obviously, that must have been his last AFCON. And well done to Coach Michael Neese, because it was his plan to bring Karma Billiot and Knowledge Musona back from international retirement. Knowledge got the goal that got us the point. So fair enough. Well done to Neese, as much as his team was not as entertaining to watch as the one that Marinica has put together. Marvellous Nakamba, 31. Divine Lunga, 30. Brendan Galloway, 29. I thought he played so well against South Africa. We got Maswani said 23. Which players are in, which are out for you?
Yeah, I still feel those guys can still give us something. It's now up to the coach. If he still feels good, these guys can still, give him what he wants. From what he has seen, throughout the tournament, he has to assess all the players and say, okay, fine, guys, this is what we plan to do going forward. Remember, the draw didn't happen for the AFCON 2027, but still, by the time the draw is done, I think we have a base to start from. Because national team is not like Mr. V. You wake up tomorrow and say everyone is out except Tonda Maswanise, Tonda Chirewa, Bill Antonio, because these are the youngsters. I don't want anyone who is maybe over 26 years old. You don't do that for the national team. Yeah, you bring in, those young players bit by bit. They need experience by their side. At least Knowledge did his part.
Yeah.
This time around, he scored a goal. Now he can ball out, with his head high.
Washington Arubi, obviously.
Yeah, I think Washi has played, his part in that national
Who's
team.
in and out for you, Simba?
I tend to agree with David, say that the coach would probably have a final say, but for me, I wouldn't want a holistic, overhaul of the team, because you still need that experience. For me, yes, people may talk about Knowledge Msona, but I like his leadership qualities within the team. In as much as he might come in and play those cameo roles, but you could tell that when he is in, the way that he also organizes other players is too good. I think it should be a transition, that you phase them out bit by bit. Of course, we will not take them to 2027 AFCON finals should we qualify, but I think most of the players in there can still play a part in the qualifiers, and you don't just dump them at once. I think there's still something that they are going to give. Even Galloway still has got good age, and you look at these players, I think in as much as we lost, but there's something that they give in terms of the fighting spirit. Because for me, yes, people might have reservations about teenager Debe, but for me, he's still one of those best centre backs that we had. And Divine Lunga, he made mistakes, but again, in terms of the left backs that we have in the country at the moment, we can't just discard him and then, trying to have somebody new coming in, because you just look at the replacements. How many do we have besides Jordan Zemura? So for me, this is not just is something that we just do as an ad hoc thing. We just need to transition. And
so gradual is good. So is the coach in or out? He's only got a 1-year contract.
For me, I've just been looking at the previous coaches. We have just been chopping coaches after AFCON. But there is something that I like about Mario Marinica, and I just like the guts that he has. In as much as you might have some weaknesses, but I think you just need to give him another year, see out his contract, and see what happens with the national team, because I don't like this thing that we have been firing coaches after AFCON.
So we judge him when he's done his 12 months and extend?
Yes.
If we feel he's done enough, based on what qualifiers that are coming up this coming year? Yes,
I think he can still qualify us, because you look at the players that we have. Yeah, We didn't get the result that we wanted, but I liked the character that I saw with the players. And probably if you have more time, because the way that we played against South Africa, barring the mistakes, I think we really played well better than all the other games.
Yeah. Munya, what's your thoughts, composition, age-wise, going forward for the Warriors?
I think there has to be a gradual transition. You can't just chuck out the senior guys. Especially on the grounds of the Angola game, you could see Knowledge Msona's impact off the ball, when there was a little break. So it would literally be throwing the younger players under the bus to just leave them without a shoulder to lean on, like what David was saying. So I think there has to be a gradual transition, but also there has to be a consideration of our local league in the process as well. In this transition, because you realize that, like what David was saying, if you have about 4 or so players, especially from the same team, and they're doing well, if they move in together, whether they're young or old, that sort of chemistry can also benefit the country. So there are certain combinations that already work for us locally. If the players are good enough to transition to the national team, then so be it. So you can see it. You can look at the Musona brothers, for example. Unfortunately, Walter wasn't there in this one, but you could see with their pairing at Scotland that should they transition together in the national team, at some point when Knowledge goes out, there's some sort of continuity. So a gradual transition definitely would help. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Let's rate the Warriors as we close off our analysis. To me, I thought they did really well. I thought they fought. I'd give them 7 out of 10 and say, let's sort out the politics going forward so that the coach can focus on the football. Let's make sure our best players like Mashi are there. What's your rating, David?
Yeah, Mashi has to come back. And there's no Mota as well, Jordan Zemura. I think those guys, if they're back in the squad, it looks like a national team now. Because those are the leaders of the team. Yes, they've made their mistakes out there, but they still have got something to offer. In that team, Mashi is not as old as maybe other people think and say, I know because at Wolves he's not playing, something like that. But in our national team, he has been our leader ever since Marvelous was injured. Marvelous was not playing, for Luton Town. And for Andy, coming to the national team without a club, it wasn't good for him as well. Because he was going to be exposed in the center of the midfield. Look at what Marvelous was doing. He was exposed. Jonah was always, working hard. So for Jonah, we might have Jonah, Mashi, Andy, Jordan Zemura, I think, in the center of the midfield. Even Marvelous himself. Those guys, I think, they are the core of the team. But we need.
So how do you rate the guys?
For me, is 80% chance of them coming back.
Okay. No, I mean, this performance, how would you rate it overall?
Overall performance, Mr. V, I think it's a 50-50.
Okay. Munya, what's your...
Yeah, for me, it's definitely a 5. There are a lot of issues to...
A 5?
Yeah, 5 out of 10. There are a lot of issues to resolve administratively, technically, because I like what David said at the beginning, that, to be honest with you, Zimbabwe has the quality to top a group and get even to quarterfinals. But we just need to get organized. So the performance, I say 5 because, we had moments of desolation, but we also had great moments like Maswani Se and Musona and them. So we can't also take that away from them.
Okay, 7 for me, 5 for David, 5 for Munya. What about you, Simba?
I'll give it a 5 as well, just like Munya, because for me there was big room for improvement. I think, like I said before, that this was supposed to be our best tournament. But one thing, like Munya alluded to, there are a lot of things that we also need to consider going forward, and there is also need for us to get into debates that we have not done before. Because for me, I was looking at some members of parliament who were there in Marrakesh supporting the Warriors, and I want to see them coming back into parliament, having so much robust debates about our sport, and then it cascades down to Zifa itself, and then also to the players. Because right now we might talk about Mario Marinica as a coach, because in the past we've been firing coaches after this, but we are just treating symptoms, not treating the disease, because there is a lot that needs to happen. A strong Zifa needs also a strong SRC, you see, and if there is a strong SRC, managing Zifa, Zifa having people that are good, and also the assembly, the people that votes people into Zifa office.
Yeah.
If we have strong people in there, we are also going to have a strong Zifa that is going to also get us a good coach. And
Sure.
also the same in terms of the players as well.
Yep, so the foundation, strong local league, as we're saying as well, is really crucial too. So overall, the mood is one of disappointment. The potential is there going forward for our Warriors. We look forward to the next edition of the Africa Cup of Nations. The Moore's Pride of Africa predictor. I was close to glory after round one. I was sitting at number 25 on the leaderboard after a phenomenal first round of predictions. Then the wheels fell off and I can't find myself on the leaderboard at all now. Great prizes, smart TV to be won, Bluetooth speaker as well. We've got a new leader. There's so much movement as we look towards the knockout stage. Fofo 10, 185 points is leading. Ligani on 180 is now in second, and Maestro 29 is third on 176. It's a bit late to join now, but you can just get a feel of it as we look forward to the Castle Lager PSL 2026 season starting in March, and see how good your predictions are in the knockout stage. Go to the Fanzone website, make sure that you're registered and logged in as well, so that you don't miss out on everything that's happening there. Plus the Fanzone Facebook page is full of exclusives from Morocco. Got more football news in a bit because Tondra Andaraya has joined Chicken In, but Munya is here as a coach, athletics coach, and the Mwana Wachipo club is yours, also an all-round sports analyst. Let's talk about athletics in 2025. I guess the standouts, Isaac Mpofu, 10th at the World Champs in the marathon, brilliant from him, and doing so well also in the 200 metres, weren't we? So what's your thoughts on 2025 in athletics?
I think it was a good year. It was a good year for Zimbabwe. The last time we had the biggest cohort of athletes at the World Championships, because the World Championships are like the biggest competition in athletics. We had the biggest cohort of at the World Championships in so many years, in about 2 decades. So that's great. And for Isaac to come 10th in the world again, because he achieves the same feat in 2022, it shows a bit of consistency, or a lot of consistency on his part. So he is, one of the top global runners. And then Tapiwa Shimakarao getting into the 200 final again, from just coming from the Olympics. That shows some level of consistency as well. So I think as a country we're moving in the right direction. We also participated in the World Relays. Our 4x400 meter team was there. This one was mainly composed of local athletes. The team captain Garen Muishi was there. Leaford Zuze was there. Dennis Hoy and Audrey Tafa. They did what they could. They unfortunately didn't manage to qualify, but that the sport was represented at the global stage, and at the junior level, we had a gold medal at the African Junior Championships in triple jump, which was amazing as well. So I think overall, as a country, we've done well in athletics.
So decent year. Was this a result of a great development program, or individuals who've been shining from where they've come from, respectively?
So athletics now is a very individual sport, unlike most sports, unlike team sports. So you'd realize that. In Zimbabwe, the sort of structure that we have is that you belong to your club, you train under your club, and athletics, for qualification for global competitions, you just need to get into a competition where there's a certified track and an electronic timing system, and if you run your good time, you qualify. It's as straightforward as that. So there hasn't really been national programs like camps or mainly camps or high performance setups. Maybe the only support that is there is for Isaac and the long distance team. But on the sprinters side, you'd realize that everyone belongs to their club or their school. Makarao and Charamba, they were in school. They ran for their schools, they did the times, and then they qualified. So it's really at an individual level.
So it's a matter of how good the talent is at any given time. Lots coming up in 2026. The African Senior Athletics Championships are on in Ghana. We only ever won one gold medal there. I was there actually in 2004 in Congo Brazzaville when we won the men's 4x400 meters relay with the likes of Louis Banda and Torkmo Nyongani. What are the hopes this time, Munya?
Very high hopes, particularly if we look at the sprint side, because Tapiwa Nashimakarao back in 2024 when we were at the same stage. So the African Championships are like the AFCON for athletics, you know, it's like the biggest competition in the continent. So Tapiwa Nashimakarao, he got a silver medal in the 200 meters at the time. And then we also had Chingetai Mapai, the triple jumper, he also got a silver medal. Those are the two medals that we got. And this was before they then went to the Olympics. So now that they're making the Olympic finals, now that they're making the World Championship finals, we really anticipate a gold medal from Makarao. I certainly believe that he's very capable of that. And then Mapai is also continuing to train. And then there's also this cohort of young sprinters that are upcoming. So should we get a relay there, like a 4x1 and a 4x4, definitely we're in for a celebration.
Right. Relays are good to go if you've got the depth. I was in Algeria, All Africa Games 2007. We got bronze in the men's 4x1. Do we have depth for relays?
Definitely, we've got the depth, but you'd realize that if you look at the 4x1 side of things, most of the guys are based in America. And for Makarao and Charamba, they're now professional, so it means they're a bit free. But the younger guys in the 4x1, they belong to a school. So in athletics, you can't just be released by your school because your primary obligation is to represent and score points for your school. We've got the depth in the 4x400 as well. These guys are mainly based locally. But the only challenge is that due to the lack of support systems locally, like with there are no camps of the association yet that have been mentioned, because now the World Relays are coming up in May and we haven't seen any camp or gathering to discuss or to have athletes put together. So it's those support systems. The talent is there, but where the support systems are enhanced, we can get the depth to actually medal consistently at the championships.
So they got to have camps, especially for a relay, because you've got to have that understanding, obviously.
Yep.
Yeah. You know what? For Simba, David, and myself, we absolutely love athletics. It's always been one of our favourite sports, isn't it?
Yeah, sure.
I see you watching YouTube of World Athletics Championships at Star FM some evenings.
Yeah, a lot, Mr. V, a lot. And I like it when Munya is saying that, because I've always been patriotic in terms of our own, sports persons, and I'm one guy who has represented Zimbabwe, so I know how it feels, to represent your country, and it's a dream, Mr. V, for every child who grew up in Zimbabwe, even those that are, growing up outside Zimbabwe, born outside Zimbabwe, and grew up outside, they would also want to represent their country. So, for any athlete, Mr. V, I'll be very happy to just see our athletes excelling in every sport that they're doing, and we have to start from somewhere, isn't it? Yeah. The best is supposed to be set for us all to go up there. Mine was set, and I embraced it. And to be honest, to be where I am and to be who I am, it's because of that.
Yeah.
And some of these things, like what Munya is just saying, we need to be serious in terms of everything that we're doing. We need to set everything and go for it.
Yeah, look forward to a good 2026, Simba, for athletics.
Yeah, indeed, and it's good that you have a person like Munya who is trying to do a lot in terms of grooming talent and also managing in terms of administration. Just here and for the years, like when you used to have the Chamber of Mines, locally, and all those athletics events, and the more you have these events, the more the hype that is created, and the more that we have other youngsters also wanting to partake in that sport, and we have a large pool, of athletes that we have as a country.
Yeah, the Mines, Chamber of Mines events produce so many national team athletes. So, Munya, you've got this holistic, because of your expertise and background, you've got this holistic look as a coach running a club, also administrative, media and marketing as well. Where are the strengths and weaknesses currently in athletics?
Okay, so definitely everything that has to do with sport, it needs an athlete-centered approach, right? So I believe in administration where we go to the field of play first, we assess the situation there, and then we get into the office, and not the other way around, where we only engage with athletes, at surface level. So I think that's the fundamental problem, to say that there's a bit of a disconnect between admin and athletes. So what I mean literally going where your national team, where your national level athletes are training, to see what their situation is like. Do they have the requisite, the basics? So I'm talking about, do they have food? Do they have water? Do they have transport money, even for public transport? Are they, what's their living situation? Because all those factors, they come into play. And then there's something that Simba brings in about competition as well, local competition. So the reason why a sport like football thrives in the country is because there's a local league which we all follow and we can trace. So not everyone will make it into the national team, obviously, but there's some sort of progression that one can follow. And there's the entertainment value that the football gives to the country, and so it attracts resources. So our challenge also is that we don't have an athletics league. Yes, we've got the clubs, but we don't compete locally competitively unless, well, it's a provincial meet and everything. So it's that entertainment value that we don't offer yet as a sport locally, which then gives sponsors a bit of a scare to invest in it. Because myself, I'm a marketing person, so I believe in value exchange. So sometimes I've been writing proposals. Then before I send it, I'm thinking like, what do I have to offer to the sponsor? How many people are going to be sitting in the stands to watch this? So at the end of the day, we just need that athlete-centered approach, support systems to athletes, because these are continental competitions, global competitions. You're not told about the competition a month or 5 months before. You know a year in advance. So like for me, it worries me that right now we haven't seen any camp. Our 4x4, it went to China in May this year, but right now we're almost approaching May. There hasn't been anything. So that to me is concerning, right? And then in terms of competitions, we need a league. We need a league, and then we need to offer that entertainment value, because once we do that, the resources can come. For us to say we have the best athlete in the continent and everything, at the end of the day, sponsors are thinking like, okay, but what value are you going to give me? Are you going to give me? So at the end of the day, I've often made academic comparisons, to say, why is it that a schoolboy tournament for any other sport for example, football, like we're yet to pass the group stages of AFCON, but the resources are there, because how many people are talking about the Warriors right now, right? But how many people talk about athletics? It's only the passionate guys like us who watch.
Sure.
But for us, so we need to get to a level where the country talks about athletics.
Yep.
Like I had a situation where Makarao came for one of the sessions and the kids didn't know him. But what are the chances that if Maswani say goes to any club in the country, the moment he walks into the gate, everyone is rushing there for a selfie. So it's those little things that we need to sort out, and then we can create the requisite value to attract resources.
You need the stars, poster boys, to drive any sport. So you're saying we need a national track and field athletics league where clubs participate, compete against each other, where in Harare and Bulawayo?
Definitely, because athletics, all provinces are active, so it's a bit tricky for a start to say we have a league in Harare or whatever. What we could do is agree on where to host. So the only decent tracks that we have are in Harare, obviously, in Bulawayo.
White City.
But obviously, there's some clubs in other provinces like Mash East, Mash Central that are functional, up and running. Like the Bindura National Sports Academy, they have a clear system there. So just getting all the active clubs together, getting them to compete, we create entertainment, and subsequently the resources will come into the sport.
Well, thanks for the insights, Muni. That's really interesting, really practical. Where do we find you on social media?
At MWC Sport, both on Facebook and on Instagram, as well as at Coach Munya on Instagram. That's my personal one, and Munyaradzi Gwanzura on Facebook.
That's great. Right, while the action's been happening at the Africa Cup of Nations, lots of PSL news. Tonderai Diraya has joined Chicken Inn. We saw this one coming, Simba, and now confirmed that Tonderai Diraya has left Scotland and joined Chicken Inn.
Yeah, it looks like Chicken Inn really wants to go big this coming season, 2026, and they didn't wait for long and went for a coach who has been the winning coach of the title in the past 2 years, and they gave the ropes to Tondra Indra. And it's also said that they have increased their budget also for next season and want to really compete for the title and looking for their second title in the PSL.
Well, we saw that one coming, David, yeah, but do they have the players to compete?
Yeah, I think they do have the players, and it's up to the players' mentality now to change, because there's going to be a lot of changes in terms of playing, personnel, the system, everything, because Tondra Ndira has got his own style of play. He's a coach who believes that winning games is much more important, than playing that fancy football without results. As for him, look at the Simba when he got the title with Simba in 2024, and this past season with Scotland, you could see he's a coach who demands his players, to work extra hard, get those results, score one goal, defend, then we get 3 points. I think that's what Chicken Inn looked into and say, okay, we've been playing a very good, football passing game, but we're fighting relegation the whole of 2025. So I think we need to bring in fresh ideas, fresh minds as well, so that we can get something out of whatever they're putting.
Okay. Meanwhile, Joey Antipas, the former Chicken Inn coach, is being linked with a move to Dynamos.
I never saw that coming, Mr. V, to be honest. I never saw that coming. If you move to Dynamos, yeah, I think it's good for his CV. And remember, he once coached me when I was still a player. So I think, with his experience, can he hold the pressure at Dynamos? Because he hasn't coached a big team with big expectations. So for Dynamos, there's a lot of expectations. The fans, they demand, and also the other thing is about the resources of bringing in quality players. If you look at Dynamos, the past 2 seasons, it has always been trials and trials and trials. You all just need to go out there and sign the players that you want. You don't need to hold, trials. So I think Joey Antipas has got that pool of bringing in players who can even match the Dynamo standard.
Yeah. Other Dynamos news, a new board. The board has appointed a new executive led by former Vice Chairman Vincent Chawonza, who we had on Larry's Look at the League a few weeks back. You can catch that video on our YouTube page. And Chawonza will be assisted by Spencer Chiahota. Former player Divine Sena is the new Secretary General. Desmond Vute is board member in charge of marketing and media. Batson and Koma is the new Dynamo CEO. Only 2 members from the previous board were retained. That's David Chikomo and Justice Mubai. And also we understand the executive's first target actually was Genesis Mangombe. That was Chawonza's first choice, but he's likely to have extended his contract with Triangle. So Chawonza, quite charismatic, back at Dynamo's, Simba.
Yeah, it seems like, fans' favourites, and you could see even the debates and the topics that were happening on social media, and people were just looking at the time that he was the vice chairman, and that was the time that Dynamos were even flying to Bulawayo for the games, and the things seemed like they were happening. So many sponsors were on board, Hello Paisa, and there was some other time that they had also their own monthly rewards to players, and the fans think that with Chawonza coming back, now he can be able to bring in some sponsors, and maybe Dynamos can return to the real Dynamos, the Dynamos of yesteryear, whereby Dynamos will also be dominating in terms of player transfers, and also maybe in terms of fighting for the title. So we just wait to see if we are going to see Dynamos returning to the real Dynamos under Vincent Chawonza. And also the first thing that needs to happen is a sponsor coming in, a sponsor that is going to give confidence to players to want to send for Dynamos, a sponsor that is also going to give confidence to a coach to come on board to say, if I am going to Dynamos, I will have a lot of money to buy players or to lure players. So we just wait to see, but it looks like it's better days coming to Dynamos.
Yeah, so when you've got the most marketable club in Dynamos, but all these issues that need to be resolved for them to become truly marketable.
Yeah, so look, there's the issues of governance. You know, I learned about governance a lot. The issues of transparency, the issues of accountability. So it doesn't give a good look. I like how Simba is talking about we need a sponsor so that they can be player confidence and coach confidence. But also the sponsors need a proper governance structure within the club in order for them to be confident that their investment will not go out to waste and that it will create value. Because, you know, there are certain issues that were happening at Dynamos this season, like the players' pays issues. We were talking. There was one incident where players were told that, you know, you're not getting onto the bus. You know, it's those little things that some sponsors may not want to be associated with, because it's like, I've invested my money. I want things to be running smoothly. So I think the chairperson has a big challenge in terms of governance structures to reassure sponsors and partners that, look, with where the organization is going now, definitely you will not hear of any funny business, but actual good and entertaining football with player welfare being managed. Because for me, at the end of the day, athletes or players are at the heart of sport. So the reason why I watch Dynamos is because I want to see Jalai. But if Jalai is not okay, then there's a problem, you know. So I think the governance bit has to be sorted out.
Yeah, it's going to be an important time for Dynamos. Transfer rumours. Last week we were talking about Simba Bora losing players. They're going to get some more internationals by the looks of it. Malawi international defender Lawrence Chazia could be joining from Mighty Wanderers. Also, they're being linked with players from Kenya and from Namibia. And for Scotland, the transfers continue. McCartney Nawaseb, a Namibian, is likely to be joining, and they are likely to be signing another Namibian, Izaskar Gurirab, from Simba Bora. Midfielder Nigel Mupinduki's moved from Manica Diamonds to chicken in, and winger Fitzgerald Banda is likely to be joining Manica Diamonds from Bikita Minerals. Saw him playing for Bikita against Dynamos. Very impressive. Gurirab joining Scotland. He's going to sit on the bench most of the season, isn't he?
I think he'll suit the Norman Mapia's style of play.
Will he play him?
Yeah, he will. He will. I know. You know, with Norman, it's not about just running. You also want someone who can, you know, contribute in terms of, you know, play combinations in front, and you also want a striker who can score goals. And I think for Gurirab, first half of the season, I think it worked well, considering that there was Emmanuel Zocha as number 10 and he was the centre forward. So there was a lot of combinations. But soon after the Champions League, I think that's when they started to struggle now. But still, Mr. V, I think for him to play, he has to impress Norman. And I think Norman saw him playing. That's why he wants him. And he wants him to improve. Him. I think so.
Yeah, I think also with Emmanuel Zocha moving to Scotland as well.
Exactly.
And then that same combination that had at Simba Bora.
Yeah.
Well, we are looking forward to the new season. We can't wait. It's going to be an exciting 2026. So this is our last show, isn't it, of 2025. Thanks, Simba. Thanks, David. Thanks, Munya. Really enjoyed your insights on athletics, plus on the Warriors as well. So do make sure that you like and subscribe. Get the alerts every time we upload a new episode of Fanzone. And on the Facebook page, you can go through Larry Mangenje's updates from Marrakesh. Larry's coming back now. The Warriors coming back home or going to their respective bases as well. And we'll be back next week with another episode of Fanzone.